All right, we will go ahead and get started. It's a little bit after 8:02 if you're on the East Coast. So we'll go ahead and get started with our webinar, What's New in LodgeMaster 4.1.2. Just a couple things before we dive into the demo, which is why you're all here. The webinar is being recorded. So if you have people in your lodge who are not able to join us this evening, or if you want to go back and review anything that we covered tonight, the webinar will be recorded and posted on our new YouTube channel, as well as in our documentation site under the webinars link. If you have questions throughout our webinar, in your Zoom webinar meeting bar, there's a Q&A button. If you click the Q&A button, you can submit a question, and our 4 panelists will be going through those questions and answering them either via message to you through the Zoom platform, or we'll answer them live depending on what the question is. We'll do our best to answer them as we're going through the webinar if they pertain to what we're talking about. And if we don't get to the questions as we're going, we'll get to them at the end. So we're going to dive right into the demo here. So I'm going to switch over to our Lodge client, and we'll go through what's changed in LodgeMaster 4.1.2. Alrighty, so we're going to start out in the member editor, or in the members module. We'll kind of go module by module and cover the big things that changed in 4.1.2. So one thing, when you're on a members record, in the past, the chapter or units were locked to the chapter you selected. We have in 4.1.2 added the ability to unlink the chapter and units. So if you click the little link icon, it'll unlink them and allow you to select any unit that you have defined in LodgeMaster. Users were having, kids didn't know what unit they were in, so it made it hard to select a unit because if you didn't know what chapter. So by adding this link and unlink functionality, allows you to select, just their troop or any troop that you have defined in LodgeMaster they don't have to be tied to this chapter anymore. If you want to relink them and force that you select a unit that's within that chapter, you can click the link icon and it'll link them back up. Exiting out of the member editor, the next thing I want to talk about are the special status views. So we have some views, we call them special status. That's for our deleted, archived members. Some of those statuses are new in LodgeMaster 4. We've added in version 4.1.2 the ability to export your special status as well as search. Prior to this, you were not able to search through your deleted members or export that. So if you're trying to find a member record that was linked to something in your database, if you're trying to clean up old data, without asking the LodgeMaster support team for assistance, it was challenging for our users to find those members of special statuses. We've added the export and search functionality to all the special member status views, which will hopefully make it easier if you're looking for a past member or something. There's been cases if you accidentally delete somebody and you have a lot of deleted members, this will allow you to easier go in and look for them, look for those members. And like I said, it's in all these special views. We do have a question. Can any LodgeMaster user with the edit access unlink the unit and chapter? Mike or Rob, could you answer to that?
No, so if a person has edit access, the assumption is that they've been given access to be able to edit that person. The catch is if you've given them edit access to a single chapter, for instance, yes, you can unlink it. However, they'll only be able to select units within that chapter.
And also only select that chapter in the chapter dropdown.
Oh, yes, of course.
All right. Moving on. we've made several improvements to the grid overall. So in the past, if you applied a filter, if I applied a filter and made a change to the member record that removed this member from the grid, you could not clear the filters. We've improved the member grid and the filtering functionality to allow you to select all again and bring back your full member grid. We've also made it easier to multi-select. We've added, so you can search in here and select multiple chapters or whatever you're filtering on. That'll hopefully make filtering down your grid before exporting it to Excel or CSV a little bit easier. In addition, in the column chooser, we've added the ability to search for columns. Before you had to scroll through. Now you're able to search and easily add those columns to the grid. This works. It's really handy if you're looking for a field and you're not sure exactly which email. You can type in email, and I want to add the parent's email address. You can easily add that. That's the new column chooser functionality and the improved grid filtering, clearing filters and just applying those filters. One thing why we're talking about filtering, a new feature we've added is a reset function to the view. So if I'm filtering down, if I have my view set for deal members and some specific units, if I get down to this and I want to go back, there's reset all filters and views. I hit that new button up here on the end next to the group panel. It'll reset my view. So as if you filtered if you've got some complex filters in, or you're looking at a subset of data and you just want to go back to the original roster view, if you click the reset button, it'll reset your view back to the default view. So that'll make it easier. If you're not sure what filters you applied, or just need to clear those out, we hope that reset filters will work well for you.
And just
the next thing,
some of those enhancements that Chad's showing off with the filtering and the resetting are also available in units and the event attendee grid as well. Anything that's sort of grid-based will be available in all three of those grids.
Thank you, Mike. So that's the new grid. Not a lot of changes, but some changes we hope will make it a little bit easier for you to use and manipulate that grid. The hope is you can filter down that data prior to exporting it, or you can create, in addition to our built-in views, some custom views that are a little bit easier to manage and work with your Lodge data. The next thing we want to talk about, or we want to talk about where we've made a lot of improvements, is in position reporting and just position related tasks in general, viewing members in their related positions, managing positions. So we'll start out the position reports. We have fixed all the position reports. We did have, after the initial release, some issues with the reports, the position reports not specific or not loading the correct positions. Those have all been fixed. So running this position roster report, if we run it for the Lodge Chief as of today, returns our Lodge Chiefs as of the 20th of December, whatever date you put in here. You can filter your position as well as the area. So if you're looking at chapter chiefs, I only want, hard to see, I'll pick, and there's no chapter chief for this area that we have, that you define in your Lodge structure. The other report, the leadership roster, this report has been completely redone. So your as of date, you can filter to areas again. If you're looking for a specific chapter, depending on how you have your Lodge structure set, that may be a chapter, or if you divide it up, north, south, and then have chapters under that, it'll depend on your Lodge. But if you run it for the entire Lodge, we can include the tiled areas.
you can expand that preview parameters area in case people don't know, because as you can see, the areas were sort of falling off the screen there. So then you can pull it out to see everything.
So if we want the whole lodge, include the children. If you just want the youth or adults, you can set that there. If you want to include your positions that are not filled, if you're just, and then the LEC only, looking for those positions that are flagged executive committee. We'll go ahead and run this with the defaults for the entire lodge. We'll slide this panel out of the way. And this is our new Lodge Leadership Roster Report. We did our best to order it in an order that made sense, Lodge Chief and going on down. If you scroll down, we do have, it will show you when we get down here to a chapter or an area, depending on, I'll use the term chapter as an area. Or here in this case, chapter ops is a area, and under that is the H1 chapter. So you can see the chapter associate advisors listed there. If we only want to look at, again, if we open up the filters, and I only want to look at chapter ops, and I don't want to see my empty positions, I only care about positions that are filled. If we submit this, we'll clear that out. You can see a nice report of just the options we selected, pulling back that lodge leadership data. These are all exportable. It's the same reporting functionality we have everywhere else. The other new feature that you may have noticed under advanced filtering, there is a new position under active positions.
Chad, before you show that, just to answer any questions that would come, we do have one thing on our to-do list, which is to allow a full ordering of both the pieces of your structure in the structure tree and also the positions, so you'll be able to order them in the exact order you want. That's on our short-term to-do list, so that'll be coming soon. And at that point, we'll use whatever order that you define for all the positions in a chapter or a lodge, so you'll be able to control exactly how those reports look in the future.
I also wanted to add that the position, that the leadership the leadership check-in report has also been modified to have use the same filters. So you're able to go in and customize that for if you have a chapter meeting or an LEC or whatnot.
Thank you, Rob, for pointing that out. We'll, if I want to just run this,
Ashwan's good.
That chapter, Chief Pump Rock, I would assume, has some data in it. I don't want empty positions because chances are that, if this is a chapter meeting, LEC only, yes, we submit this.
No, you want no on the LEC only because you're trying to get the chapter people. There you go.
There we go. Depending on how your lodge is LEC, they may define chapter positions as executive. It depends on how you have your positions set. And if I only wanted, youth for some reason, chapter meeting, I'd run that. It looks like we have the chapter chief and all the same printing and exporting functionality. Moving on to positions here, another new feature.
So we have a great question, Chad, from Rick, saying that he learned that he could put positions in the grid, and then he noticed that there was no filter funnel available on the active positions column.
We have a fix for that, Rick. Thanks for bringing that up. So a new functionality that we've added is this active positions filtering. In the past, I'm going to go ahead and add from our column chooser the active positions field. In the past, this was just a string of active lodge positions. So if a person is active in more than one, there'd be a comma separated value there. But we can't filter on these, as Rick brought up. We've solved this problem under advanced filtering. We have the new active positions filtering dropdown. So here, if I'm looking to just see chapter chiefs, I click OK and add the chapter chiefs position. You can add more than one here. It's a multi-select. We're just going to look at chapter chiefs. I insert chapter chief. I'm going to click apply. I'm going to add our position name column here. We'll put the area in here.
No, you're not filtering on a single position.
Yeah. So what I wanted to show though is our chapter chief is filtered the grid to our chapter chief positions only. So we have 3 chapter chiefs. Looks like we have 3 chapter chiefs in the lodge. If I want to look at chapter chiefs as well as their advisors, because they're going to have a chapter meeting, and we want to send an email to them about reminder about the meeting. The lodge chief wants to remind them, maybe, you know, schedule your chapter meetings with an apply. You can now see we have the chapter advisor and chapter chiefs in our grid. You can send an email, and it'll send an email to just those positions. Now, I did add position name and position area, which are not tied to this new active position field. The position name and position area tied to the position field down here. The position field under the additional data is used to view historical. So if I wanted to see every lodge chief in our lodge, I could add lodge chief. There should be some records in here. So now I'm going to add the lodge chief position to the grid. If I filter on position name to just lodge chief, I can see all the past lodge chiefs that have paid their dues for 2018. I may want to go back a few years and see all my lodge data for our lodge chiefs and hit apply. I now have a listing of every lodge chief that's recorded in LodgeMaster, and I could send them an email, or I could export that. You can add additional columns related to position, the end date, and our start date. So if you're looking for the historical data, you can see that there. With the new functionality, again, is the active position filtering, which will filter the grid for the positions you select, which will allow you to send emails to specific positions, or if you want to send an email to your LEC, or depending on if you have your area set up in area, you can do that now with this active positions filtering. You do not need the position name, area, start date, or end date in the column chooser to do this, or on the grid. You don't need them displayed to do that. So if I remove these, I go into our advanced filtering. I'm going to clear this position here because we're not looking for that. And then our advanced filtering, I'm going to look for, again, we'll look for all chapter officers, or most chapter officers, not Chad's assistant.
And Chad, while you're doing that, there was a question that came in. They were saying that it looks like there's a lot of positions that are showing all the history of positions. The reason it's showing multiple positions in this database are because a lot of the people who are in those positions don't have end dates. So that's why there was a fair number of duplicates. It's just the way the data is.
Yes, thank you, Rob. That's a very good point. That if it's looking weird in this case, like somebody pointed out, we had the multiple, check your start end dates. You may need to do some data cleanup and data updating to get that grid and the data looking the way you want. But again, this is our active positions filtering, looking at all chapter leadership. I can now export this, send an email, what have you, with this information. That was a highly requested feature. So we were really excited to add that. We think it'll work really well, allow you to look at your lodge data. So moving on out of members, because we are running a little behind here. So I want to jump into events. And when we're managing an event, hopefully there's some members in here. We've added the checkout functionality and a new column of its own. Prior, you had to edit the attendee to check them out if you're in interactive mode, or you had to go up to the check-in and check-out settings and change it to simple to check event attendees out. You can now, in the grid by default on its own column. We are still in interactive check-in mode though. So if I check this person in, it brings up our interactive check-in screen, and I can check this person in. I want to check them in. And then there's the simple checkout functionality. There's no need to change the check-in mode any longer. One thing, the other thing I wanted, we talked about it on another webinar, but I want to point it out. Back in members, under membership cards, we'll print these two. We've added the ability to print on the back of the card. And it's only for the 2018 printing. You have to have the new cards. But I did want to point out and remind everyone that we do have the 2018, the card back printing. So you can choose your fields to print on the back of the card, maybe their unit number. And then you want their BSA ID and barcode forms so you can check them in. That is new functionality as well. At this time, I'm going to pass it over to Mike to show off something new that we'll be releasing very soon. Anybody on the webinar, this will be the first look at this feature. So Mike, could you take over?
Absolutely. Hold on one second.
I did have a question. My mic is getting switched over to sharing. Why are there no filters at the top of columns in the event list? That is on the list to add. There's an open feature request to add filtering there. So we are going to work on that. So thanks, Jeff, for that question. Mike?
All right. So what we want to show off today is a feature that's going to be coming out in the next week. And it's a brand new replacement for the BSA audit functionality. We're going to be releasing a BSA verification functionality that runs automatically, connects to the scouting system behind the scenes, pulls down registration status and youth protection dates automatically into your members. So we're really excited about this feature. It's going to make it a lot easier for people to administer, making sure that people are actively dues paid scouting members, and also to make sure that they have the correct youth protection dates for people. So as you can see on my screen that I'm sharing now, I have the regular grid open. I just happen to be filtered on one person to show for this demo today. You can see my record right there. But this is just a normal grid. What you can see at the top is we've replaced the membership audit menu with a BSA verification menu. And there's two options in that. I'll show you those in just one second. But first, I'm going to go into Member Editor. And I'm just going to edit my record here. And we'll see it opens up. And you can see now a couple things are different. We have a new box over here on the right side called BSA verification. It shows my youth protection date. I took it on 7/4. Registration status, I have an active registration that's coming back from the BSA systems. And it also shows my last check date, so last date we checked against the BSA systems, and the status that I have a BSA ID that's been verified. If I click the little info button there, it'll actually bring up the information that came back from ScoutNet. So you can see we had a match on the BSA person ID, match on gender, match on date of birth, and because of those three fields matching, we're going to pull in the youth protection date and the registration status automatically. One thing to note, we aren't comparing last name and first name like the old membership audit system did. Similar to how we built it into the registration system for NOAC, et cetera, we're just looking at BSA ID, and then if both systems have the same gender and same date of birth, we're assuming that it's a good match. So what you're going to do is, the other thing I want to point out that's changed in Member Editor, and this is really the only other major change, is you can see the BSA person ID, gender, and date of birth fields are read-only now. You can't type into those fields. You can select it if you want, but there's no cursor to type. Can't change the gender or type into the BSA person ID. Those have little green check marks next to it that show that they've been verified and they're locked in. If you need to change those or something, or you need to do something to a member, all you do is we're going to clear out the BSA verification data for me. We're going to click clear. Say, are you sure you want to clear this stuff? We're going to click clear. And now you can see we've cleared out the BSA verification data. We don't have a YPT date anymore. We don't have a registration status, and it's cleared the last check date and status. Now we can edit our BSA person ID, gender, date of birth again. When we're good to go, oops, sorry, click on that drop down. When we're good to go, all we need to do is hit run, It's going to run the verification and pop in youth protection date, registration status, and all the information again. If for some reason something, oh yes.
Go ahead. We have one question. When you're done with that, if we could answer that.
Sure. Let me show the last piece of functionality in Member Editor, and then we'll go to the question. The last thing I just wanted to show quickly is if for some reason you're not getting a match, or you have better data because they have a certificate or something like that, we do have an override screen. So I'm going to click on that, and you can actually check a box, say, I want to override the youth protection date and set a date manually, or I want to override the registration status and set that manually. So that's the way that we're allowing you to actually set those manually. When you do runs, it'll clear out the overrides on a single person, or if you do a bulk run, it'll ask you whether you want to clear overrides. So that's sort of the tour of what's changed in Member Editor. I'll show you the bulk in a sec, but what question do we have, Chad?
So Dan is asking, what about folks who don't have a BSA ID number in LodgeMaster? What happens when they run the audit? If you run it for the entire grid, is there a report to find out who was verified and who wasn't in bulk?
Yeah. So let me go back to the member list now. You can see this report right here, the BSA registration status. That replaces the old audit status report. And that actually breaks out who was verified, who there's mismatches for, and who the ID wasn't found for. And then you can use that to clear the data from there. It won't run the verification process if you don't have a BSA ID, but you can do a filter quite easily in the grid to just fill people that don't have BSA IDs and then work on getting those entered. And I'll show you one other tool we've added to help with that too. But I just want to show first on the BSA verification menu now, for anything that you're showing in the grid, whether it's this year's current roster, 2 years worth of roster, or whatever you're showing, you can just click Run BSA Verification. You get a message that says, we're going to run this for everybody you can see in the grid that has a BSA person ID on their record, and it'll clear overrides if you check the box. So I'm going to check Clear Overrides and hit Run. It's going to run real quick because there's only one person, but you can see it's processed the one record and updated in the database. For a longer list, it will take some time as it goes through and verifies them all with the BSA, but that process allows you to run it for however many people you want to, whenever you want to. And the last thing I'll show you, we've added a import BSA person's ID file. So let me quick find a file here and upload that. Just works just like all the other imports, except there's only 2 fields that you can import to, OALM ID and BSA ID, and both are required. And what this is going to do is if you want to take a list from your council of all of the members and take a list from OALM of all the people that you don't have BSA IDs for and work on matching in Excel, you can then import the BSA ID onto members' records through this import. So it's not going to create new records, but based on an OALM ID match, it's going to add the BSA ID record to people's records.
Awesome, Mike. That looks that's really cool. I can't wait till we roll that out. I think that's a huge step forward from the old export-import method and sending files back and forth between the council office. This is really slick. We are going to switch on over. If I could have Rob, if you could take over. We have one more special thing to show you tonight before we wrap up. And Rob will be demonstrating that for us.
Hey guys, so one more thing that we'll be releasing in the next week, along with the BSA verification, is the inventory module. Currently, this is one of those modules that we did not port over from old OALM 3. So if you wanted to use it, you still had to go into the Silverlight client. So this will be ported. We'll complete the moving of this module over into the 4.0 product in the next week. So what I wanted to show you first, we made some changes into how the inventory system works. The first thing that you'll see here is when you first enter the inventory system, you'll get your list of products. Before in 3.0, you got a list of transactions for those products. So we're changing it up a little bit. The implementation is not 100% complete yet, but one of the cool things you'll be able to do is you'll be able to come in here, you'll be able to say select the 100th anniversary, 100th BSA anniversary flap, and click sale, and this will add a sale transaction. You can also do a consignment transaction, an order transaction, and a loss transaction. This was previously called a shrinkage transaction, but we're changing it to loss here. You'll also be able to, on this screen, add a product or delete a product. And just like on all of our other screens, there's a context menu that you can bring up to do these same actions. In addition, on the setup, we've simplified it a bit, so you can click on categories, and again, you'll be able to add, edit, and delete these categories very easily in that setup. And then the same thing for suppliers. Similar to products, it brings up a modal for you to be able to edit or add a new supplier. So this implementation will be completed in the next few days, and we'll be releasing that with the BSA verification stuff next week. Hopefully this little preview here will allow you to get thinking of ways that you could use the inventory module. A lot of people use it mostly for trading posts and whatnot, but it can be used for other things like your kitchen consumables and whatnot. So this was just a little quick taste of what inventory will be, and hopefully you look forward to taking a look at it next week once it gets released. Chad,
wow,
that's all I have. I'll throw it back to you.
That's two brand new features that we're really excited about rolling out: BSA verification and the new inventory module. That's really exciting stuff. So we did want to keep this to half an hour. So we are a little bit over, but we did start a couple minutes late. So we did. This is just what we covered. That's just a few of the over 100 bug fixes and improvements that we made in LodgeMaster 4.1.2. The development team has been really hard at work continuously developing LodgeMaster 4 and adding new features. So I won't. Since we are out of time tonight, we won't be going over any new features or anything else we added, but you can check them all out online at docs.oa-bsa.org. And click on the LodgeMaster section there, and you can take a look at, like I said, over the 100 new features and bug fixes that we made. So we will, at this time, if you have any questions, go ahead and get those submitted in the Q&A, and we'll do our best to answer them. While those questions are coming in, we do want to remind everybody about our support. That URL, the docs.oa-bsa.org, takes you to your documentation site where you can view documentation, submit support requests. You can also email us support requests at support@lodgemaster.oa-bsa.org. And you can also check our system status to see if we're doing maintenance or if we have something offline. We strive for as much uptime as possible, but every once in a while we do have to do maintenance. So you can see that there. You can follow us online on Facebook, Twitter. Our new YouTube channel is where we post all the webinar recordings as well as training from national events. The NOAC 2018 training has been posted to the YouTube channel. And tonight's webinar will be uploaded and ready for viewing later this evening. We will get that posted online, but that will be there so you can check out everything on our YouTube channel. And we do want to thank everyone for attending. And we'll go ahead and answer these questions that have come in.
Hey, Chad, I want to just say one thing with regard to the BSA verification stuff real quick. Over the next year or so, all lodges should definitely put a concerted effort into collecting BSA IDs for all of their members, including their new ones coming in. Because now with this functionality with BSA verification, councils will start looking at OA membership to ensure that members who are in the OA are also members in the BSA. And having this verification, having those BSA IDs will make your life much easier to verify that information. Plus, youth protection is very important, and this makes it very easy for you to ensure that everybody who is attending events with your lodge is up to date with their YPT.
We do have John. Oh, it looks like maybe Mike answered that. If you are having JTE issues, send us an email, and we're looking for those JTE support tickets, and we get on those right away. You can expect usually same-day responses and resolutions for those JTE, unless it's a big data thing we need to go fix. But if you're having JTE issues, please get those sent to us, since that is due the 31st. Get that into us. If you haven't heard from us, send a reply to the email that sends you that you created that ticket and ask us to update it. John, we will look at your ticket after the webinar and get back to you on that. This will conclude our What's New in LodgeMaster 4.1.2 webinar. We will get this posted online for everyone to view. We want to thank everyone for attending. This will be our last webinar of 2018. So we wish you everyone a Merry Christmas, and we'll announce our first webinar of 2019 after the holidays, after Christmas and New Year's. So thank you again. If there's any questions, we will stick around for a few minutes and answer questions, but we are going to go ahead and stop the recording at this point. Thank you, everyone.